I'm comfortable enough to not feel like I need it. I
It's
definitely should get a
uncool as
nice
balls,
one
dude. I
before.
already look goofy. I don't
I
want
have
to
a
look
very
like a
small
poser.
head and helmets look ridiculous on me and
The
don't
extra
fit
weight on
right.
my head gives me vertigo.
Because I'm not going over 60% power
Because I
level.
never
Doesn't
miss.
look as
They
cool,
also
does
throw
it?
off my balance.
Does that sound like you? Well, there's a good chance one of them literally is you, considering these are comments on a community post that I put up. But regardless, if you're in any kind of action sport, I'm sure you've heard these reasons before as reasons to not wear a helmet. Today, I wanted to dive into and break down these reasons and get to what I believe is the true reason why you choose not to wear a helmet. And from the start, I want to make it clear that I do believe that it should be up to you whether you wear a helmet. I don't believe you should be bullied for not wearing a helmet, just like you shouldn't be bullied for wearing one. It's a personal decision, but I do believe that decision should be an educated one, and a lot of the time I don't think it is. So if you don't wear a helmet, I dare you to hear me out today. Challenge your beliefs on helmet wearing. What do you have to lose, you know? I have to mention right away that I stole this helmet bit from another guy that you'll see later in the video, and it's very uncomfortable, and I regret it already, but it's a good thumbnail, right? If I chose that one. Now, just quickly, before I dive into your reasons for not wearing a helmet, I figured it's important to talk about my helmet history, because it actually wasn't that long ago that I used to say the exact same excuses myself. In fact, my go-to excuse was to say that the extra weight of a helmet puts me off in skating. I actually used to literally tell people that I felt like I was more at risk of hitting my head every time I was wearing a helmet. So if you don't know me, I'm an aggressive rollerblader. I skate skates like this and do grinds and tricks at the skate park. And I just wanted an excuse to show off the T-Nex skates here because I love these skates. And also my Laces collab with Loco that you can get right now exclusively at Loco Skates. So I've hit my head many times skating, including one time where I hit the back of my head, got knocked out. And when I came to, everyone I looked at didn't have eyes. And this lasted for like at least an hour and a half. I remember I couldn't recognize people because I couldn't see a big chunk of their face. And I had a whole conversation with someone who, to this day, I don't know who it was. And despite how scary that experience was, that was not what convinced me to wear a helmet. What did convince me was this great video by Travis on the Blade of Union YouTube channel, which is now the This Week in Blade YouTube channel. It was the first time I really thought about the reasons why I chose not to wear a helmet. One thing he mentioned in the video was to do with the history of wearing helmets in action sports. So just to quickly summarize that, in the beginning of all action sports, helmet use was the norm. In fact, everyone wore all the gear and it was cool to do so. It wasn't until later on where the culture in action sports shifted. Extreme sports were supposed to be seen as rebellious, and the act of putting on safety gear and helmets seemed to contradict this. So people started to stop doing it, except for in places where they had to. In rollerblading in particular, the core aggressive skater at the time really wanted to distance themselves from the average inline skater, the one who's like in lycra, bright colors, skating down by the beach, which meant no more wearing helmets at all, no more wearing any protective gear. And that moment in time and that decision has had lasting impacts and damages that are still seen today. All of this happened before I was born, but it still managed to make its way all the way over to me in New Zealand, which is quite separated from the rest of the world. Because as I got into rollerblading, I noticed that every pro skater I looked up to or every cool video I saw on YouTube about skating, none of the skaters were ever wearing any protective gear. But even worse than that, the local older skaters I saw when I went out skating, none of them did either. Every time we would skate somewhere where you had to wear a helmet, I would hear these exact reasons that you guys have listed firsthand. And those moments had such an effect on me as like a 12-year-old, 11-year-old kid that as an adult, I was confidently repeating them with my full chest, you know? And that's a first-hand account of the impact a role model can have on a kid. Travis's video got me thinking about the fact that I have become part of this kind of continuation. And I started to think about all the younger kids that I've been around when I'm skating, or even worse, the people that might see some of my videos. And I started to think that they might see that as a reason for them not to wear a helmet. And then I started to think about all the possible life-changing injuries that could come from that decision there. But more importantly than all of that, I asked myself why I wasn't wearing a helmet, the real reason. And it's the whole reason I'm making this video. The real reason I came to was because someone had told me it wasn't cool to wear a helmet. And when I thought of it like that, it started to seem very stupid and like an absolutely dumb decision to choose coolness over your life, your health. It like doesn't add up at all. It's not even. Coolness isn't even a real thing, you know. It changes with the wind. Like one day something's cool, the next day something isn't. So are we really going to risk our health for that? And that's why when I see videos like the following on YouTube, I can't believe how bad and irresponsible and dangerous they are and how much they enable the kind of backwards thinking that I used to have and become part of the problem. So I'm just going to quickly go through them real quick before we get to your reason. The first video I want to go through is this one called Why Skaters Don't Wear a Helmet. It's by Ashton Kelly. He's a skateboarder. This is worth noting is 3 years old, and also he is clearly just a skate vlog that he needed clickbait for. The kind of, you know, I know how hard that shit is. So it's not like meant to be a super big statement. He's just talking off the top of his head. In his defense, what he said though.
Do it. The main reason I don't wear a helmet or anything, even back when I started skating, is just because I don't like skating with anything on me. Like when you're skating, you know, you have to be quick, you have to be like agile and like move around a lot. If you have a helmet on you, like a big ass helmet with like a strap going around your chin and stuff, that's like super uncomfortable. Like it's like having a helmet on, for me at least. What I'm about to say is like for me specifically. So if I have on a helmet, I'm probably more likely to like not be as focused and like fuck up a trick just because there's something like bothering me the whole time.
The reason this is a silly excuse is one, just because one helmet was uncomfortable for you doesn't mean that they all are. It'd be like trying on one pair of shoes, one brand of shoes, and right away writing off all shoes because you had an uncomfortable pair. You got to try them out. You got to find one that works for you. But even more importantly than that, though, the second reason this is a lame excuse is because you need to give yourself time to get used to wearing a helmet. Every single person that skates with a helmet, it has felt the exact way you're describing there. It's felt distracting. Well, most people anyway. It's just like everything in life, you know, you're not going to be used to it straight away. I'm sure at some point Ashton felt uncomfortable on a board, but now it's second nature. A helmet will be the exact same thing. And also saying that a helmet gets in the way of movements for skating is just so invalid. There's no point where a helmet gets in the way of any movement. And it's completely out of the way. It doesn't affect your skating in any way.
I've hit my head once, but I wasn't even trying like a trick. I was just skating and I hit like a like, you know how like the driveway meets the street and there's like that little gap? I remember skating and I hit that, I fell back and I hit my head and I got up and I just kept skating. Like I didn't even think about it. Like I just didn't even care. I just kept going. That's a dangerous.
Now just picture this moment happening again. Picture this. One thing I want you to note from that is that one is that he wasn't doing some crazy big trick. It was just skating along and he tripped over. This is when you're way more likely to hit your head, when you're least expecting it. And two, how he got lucky we didn't hit his head too hard. You think if you hit your head hard enough to get like a permanent concussion or something, would you be glad that you were so anti-helmet, that you didn't wear a helmet because it's cool to get hurt? Like say you completely ruin your life. You are now like bedridden for life, at best case scenario, you know, would you still be saying that, yeah, this is part of skating, ruining your life over tripping on a pebble on hitting the curb or whatever, you know? Anyway.
Every skater that's like broken a bone, hit their head, had a seizure or whatever, they keep skating. Like they're skaters, they're gonna keep skating, but you're never gonna see them like wearing a helmet or anything, I don't think, because that's just like something we don't do, unless you're like.
I think there's a contradiction to this. I don't know so much about skating, but I know there's a ton of rollerbladers who have hit their head badly. Some of them had to relearn to walk and stuff. And these people now do wear a helmet because they know that whole injury is completely avoidable, or at least way less likely to ruin their life for the simple act of wearing a helmet. And I think it's really sad that for most people, it takes getting a severe head injury to even consider wearing a helmet, you know. But anyway.
Like skating like the mega ramp, transition, stuff like that, then it's understandable, you know, to wear a helmet. Like I would too, but I'm not out there skating mega ramps and transition and all that. Because if you fall from like 30 feet in the air skating like huge ass ramps and shit, you could probably die, honestly.
This pisses me off the most, I think, out of everything in here. I don't understand this mindset. I see this everywhere, but somehow skating vert or mega ramps and stuff, for there it's cool and fine to wear a helmet because it's so dangerous or whatever. But you know, street skating or at the skate park, that's not cool. That's lame. I don't know what happened. Someone won the marketing making helmets cool in the mega ramp vert world, because I've skated my whole life. I've skated vert, I've skated street, I've skated park, I've skated a decent amount of all of them, and the only place I've hit my head is skating handrails, which is the one where it's least cool to wear a helmet. I skate a lot of vert, never hit my head there, and yeah, you probably go a bit high and you fall a bit further there, but I don't think you're more at risk of hitting your head there than you are in street skating or park skating. That's just a crazy myth, I think. And even more stupid than that, you don't have to fall from 10 foot in the air to die hitting your head. You could be at the skate park, rolling up, hit a stone, fall, hit your head on the ledge, and be dead. It's just that simple, you know? The rest of the video is just a sick skate vlog, and the dude makes cool videos. It's cool. No hate to him again, of course. Next, I got a short here, which looks like it's stolen from TikTok. It's Ricky Glazer's one, who's a pro skater on YouTube here. Cool dude. This is definitely just off the cuff. I don't think he really thought about it, but another one that really pissed me off.
I think wearing a helmet is a very personal and intimate choice that one needs to make for themselves. The thing is yes, it definitely is safer to always wear a helmet and it is less risky. But then at the end of the day, doing anything on a skateboard is risky. People are always going to roll their ankle. They're always going to break their wrist. If you skate...
The difference between those there, though, is when you roll your ankle and you break your wrist, those heal. If you hit your head hard enough to get like a permanent concussion or something, that doesn't heal. Your brain doesn't heal like the rest of you. Your brain is a lot more important. You can be screwed for life. And that's the big difference between, you know, helmets and like knee pads and stuff, you know, and why the helmet I think is so much more important. But anyway, he keeps going.
Those things will definitely happen. So you are better off and safer to just never skate. So we got to find the...
So just really drag out what he just said here. Instead of wearing a helmet and lowering your chance of getting a brain injury by a huge amount, you're better off just not skating at all versus not looking cool. Again, a huge leap to make for such a silly reason, I think. But there's more.
Balance of what risk tolerance we are willing to take. I've been skating for almost 21 years and the amount of times I've hit my head is very, very low. But if I skate a vert ramp, I'll always wear a helmet because then the risk of hitting my head is much higher.
I don't understand. Everyone says the same argument. Everyone says this. How are you more likely to hit your head on a vert ramp? I don't think I've ever seen anyone hit the head on a vert ramp. I've seen people hit the head many, many times in a skate park. Well, not many, many times, but you know what I'm saying. How are you going to avoid tripping up on a stone, smacking your head on a ledge? How are you going to stop yourself smashing your head when you 180 your stair set or something? Like, why do people think vert is different? It's not. It's literally just as risky in every single way. And it's a silly, silly response once again. Again, if you were to hit your head that day, will you be glad that you chose not to wear a helmet because you thought it wasn't cool? Now, this next video is a little off topic. It's about cycling. As you can see, I stole the opening helmet idea off this guy, so props to him. But this video is like probably the core inspiration from even adding this part of the video because I think it is so bad, dude. It's so misleading and bad. To the point where I'm not even sure I'm going to include it because I think it's so dangerous to the people who don't want to wear a helmet because it really enables them. So let's dive into it.
The same thing goes for helmet testing. You've seen all the videos of crash testing with automobiles and airbag tests and all the stuff they do with the cars. You just assume that bicycle helmets are subjected to the same amount of testing and design. That's not necessarily true. The range of testing for bicycle helmets is fairly narrow. It accounts for a fairly limited set of scenarios. The truth is, we don't really know exactly how effective bicycle helmets are.
Actually, yes, we do know how effective bicycle helmets are. There have been plenty of studies about this, and they all back up the fact that you are much better off if you are to hit your head to be wearing a helmet. Look, I'll pull one up right now. You can find a bunch of different studies. Here's one from 2016 though. This is the percentages on how much better off you are when you're wearing a helmet, okay? Head injuries are reduced by 48%. So that's just like hitting your head and having a slight injury. Above that, serious head injuries are reduced by 60%. Let alone fatal injuries are reduced by 71%. You are 71% more likely to survive hitting your head with a helmet on. That is a huge, very significant margin there. And just traumatic brain injuries in general, you're 53% better off. More than 50% better off while wearing a helmet.
I'm not telling you that you shouldn't wear a helmet. I'm not telling you that your helmet didn't help. I am telling you to consider that sometimes our misconceptions about how effective helmets really are can be more dangerous than not wearing one.
How the fuck are the misconceptions about wearing a helmet more dangerous than wearing one? That's fucking than not wearing one. How is that even slightly true? You are always better off to be wearing a helmet. There is never a time where you are worse off in a fall, in an accident for wearing a helmet. That has never been the case. He then goes on to talk about how you could save more lives by making better cycling infrastructure versus wearing helmets, which is definitely true. But that's not the world we live in today, you know? And the world we live in now is most of the world, it is not safe to be on a bike in general. So just wear a freaking helmet to up your chances of surviving by 70%, okay? And I just want to bring it back again. Just think about all the hoops that would just jump through there, all the crazy reasons and numbers that are just so ridiculous. All the times he said that the helmet isn't helping you at all. It's just because he thinks it doesn't look cool, you know? Like, isn't that just so dumb? To bring it back to action sports or skating, there's another study here that I found while researching for this. It's from 2017. They went to a bunch of hospitals around the US and they looked into head injuries and skateboarding versus snowboarding. Now, this is significant because the helmet culture in these two sports are very different, okay? In snowboarding, it's most people wear a helmet, and skateboarding, almost no one does. And you can see that in the numbers here, where helmet use in skateboarding was 27%, and helmet use in snowboarding was 72%. The few important key factors from this I noticed was 60% of the injuries at the hospital for skateboarding were head injuries, showing that it does happen. And if you verse that to snowboarding, which more of them wear helmets, it's significantly smaller. Only 40% of them were for head injuries. Now, there obviously could be other factors there. Snowboarding, skateboarding aren't really like parallels. They're very different kind of sports with different risks. Snowboarding is probably a little bit faster sometimes, a bit more dangerous, but maybe the average snowboarder doesn't go as hard as the average skateboarder. There's a lot of factors, and studies don't mean everything. But there is a big correlation between all of them where you are always better off while wearing a helmet. You're never worse off. And to keep it more topical, here's Gordon Ramsay. It shouldn't take this happening to you to have like a close call of death like this for you to consider wearing a helmet. And props to Gordon Ramsay because he's always worn a helmet on a bike. And you think he's glad? Do you think he's even thinking about the fact that maybe he didn't look as cool when he's wearing this helmet when it saved his life? I don't think so, And the last video I want to go through is a more recent one, 6 days ago from Brad Rat. And I know Brad Rat's sick. I've seen some good videos from him. He's a good dude. And this is definitely probably the least bad out of them all, but I still think it's worth talking about. Should skaters wear helmets? There's a section in this video.
I know it's the right thing to do. I know I really should do it, but I just don't want to, right? That is how I feel about a helmet. Is it a positive thing all around? Yeah. It's going to make me safer. It's going to, help make it more commonplace. If a street skater, like a young kid, sees me out there with a helmet on, he'll think, you know what, maybe I should get one too. And it's a positive thing that's helping the skateboarding community. The more people wear helmets would be better, in all honesty. But I just really don't want to.
But what I would do here is ask him, why do you not want to? What is the underlying reason? I think if you really thought about the real reason why you're choosing not to wear it, I think you might come to the conclusion that maybe you should start because the reason is stupid. Thinking it's not cool is not worth risking your life. It's not. For an avoidable thing, Is it really worth it, And also, like I said at the start, is it really worth being part of the reason you feel like you can't wear a helmet? You're joining the reasons why you feel like you can't wear a helmet by not wearing a helmet, Definitely the least bad of all of them, the most kind of onto it. And I give him props for that. I think if you're not going to wear a helmet, at least own that you know it's a dumb idea, and he's kind of doing that, Now, again, I want to press that I don't mean any hate to anyone I mentioned here. And it's definitely not on purpose that almost everyone I mentioned here is a skateboarder. It's just that skateboarding probably has the most clout. And when I search it up, they're the only things that come up. And there's also plenty of skateboard videos that are pro helmet that are really good. But these are the few I found that really kind of pissed me off. And I think are the perfect example of the average non-helmet wearer. And the reason there's no rollerblading ones is because rollerblading isn't relevant enough. That's why there's almost none to pull up if you search for it. With that out of the way, let's get to your reasons and why they're actually just excuses. Starting off with the excuse that you are too good at skating to need a helmet. You feel like you don't need it. Now, I get that some of these are probably a joke, but this is definitely a real reason that people have. And it is a very dumb one, okay? Because you never know when you're going to need a helmet. It can happen at any time. You're not just going to hit your head when you're doing something crazy, big, and dangerous. You could hit your head at any moment. It could be skating out the door. It could be doing the grind you've done a million times. And I tried to show that you might be overconfident in your abilities with this community poll I did here. But all I learned is that a good chunk of you guys are underestimating how good you are at skating, which kind of sucks. So I'm here to tell you, you're better at skating than you think you are, George, okay, in particular. So go out there and kill it, brother. If you were to hit your head, would you prefer to be wearing a helmet? Just think about that. And this comes back to the people who only wear a helmet and put it on when they feel like they're more at danger, like doing a big trick. I think you're worse than the people that don't wear it because I feel like you understand that there is a case where you need it, but you're not fully committing. You're like half sending it, You're too scared to fully embrace the helmet. And just think about how dumb you're going to feel if you were to fall and hit your head on something small and get a brain injury. Again, you're going to feel so dumb because it's bad. You could have avoided it. Every time you're going out the door and you hesitate to bring that helmet or put it on when you go skate, you should think about how bad and dumb and stupid you'll feel if you were to hit your head that day. The next reason that's actually an excuse has got to do with the helmet being distracting or uncomfortable. Rollerbladers especially should know that it's hard to get a good fit for something. If you've skated skates, you've tried them out, there's a big variation in how they feel. Helmets are exactly the same. Just because one helmet doesn't fit you doesn't mean none of them will. You should try and find one that fits you well. And for some quick advice for picking helmets, here's the 3 I've skated, and they all have their own pros and cons. This one here is the top selling one on Amazon. It's a good cheap price, but for that cheap price, you get a bit more bulk. So this is quite a big, bulky feeling helmet, but it's relatively comfortable and it's certified and safe. Next, I have the 888 Sweat Saver. Now, this is a bit more expensive. It's a little bit less bulky feeling though than the Amazon top selling one, and it's a lot comfier. This is the comfiest helmet I've ever used. Very comfortable and still certified and safe. The one I go to use now though is the Inui Elite helmet. This is made by a rollerblading company. It's made by Powerslide, and it is the slimmest yet still certified and safe helmet there is. But the trade-off for that slimness is that it is a little bit less comfortable. I have a big head and this just fits me, and they don't have a great size range. I do like the slimness. Is really like, it feels like you're not wearing a helmet. It's the best one for the person who doesn't want to wear a helmet. But I did hit my head while wearing one of these, and I kind of wish I had a bigger helmet on. I feel like it would have saved me a bit more. So even though it's certified, now I'm going to be looking for a big one. But that there is just proof that you have so many options. The most important thing though I'm going to mention is that you need to make sure you get a certified helmet. Here in New Zealand and Australia, it's impossible to get an uncertified one. They're not allowed to be sold. But in America, that's not the case. Make sure you get a certified helmet. If they're certified, then they've been tested to protect you from impact. Otherwise, they haven't been. And then you're wearing a helmet. You got the kind of uncoolness of wearing a helmet, but it's not even protecting you. It's such a dumb decision. Make sure you get a certified helmet, okay? The helmet being distracting is not a reason not to wear one. It's an excuse, because like everything in life, you have to give yourself time to get used to it. You can't write it off because the like 1 or 2 times you wear it, you really notice it. And then we have the excuse of it not looking cool, or you being a poser or something when you wear them. Now, I do give this one props because it is the only one I think that isn't lying to themselves. At least you're being honest for the real reason you're choosing not to wear a helmet and not trying to hide it behind some other reason. But this is a really stupid reason to not wear a helmet. Do you really think you'll be cool if you do hit your head hard enough to get a permanent brain injury, or where you're like now eating through a tube, or your whole future, your whole life plans, everything you wanted to do, you now physically can't because you have to like relearn how to walk, or maybe you'll never walk again, you know? Maybe you'll never be able to have a conversation again. And this all could be different if you just decide to wear a helmet. And coolness isn't even a real thing, you know. It changes so much. Like I talked about already, the same things that made the helmet uncool could also make it cool again. Especially right now. If you think about it, when people decided to start wearing helmets, it was like going against the grain. It was because everyone wore them. Now it's arguably the opposite to that. No one wears a helmet. It's now a statement to wear one. And it's more like counter the norm to force yourself to wear one. It is definitely much harder to choose to wear a helmet versus not wear one. And helmets can be cool. There's another way to accessorize, you know, there's a whole nother thing you can look into now for skating. And maybe I'm not the one to say that as like an old rollerblader it's on YouTube, but you know, it doesn't matter. Just think like if it was the norm to wear a helmet, it wouldn't be so hard to wear a helmet. You can be that change. Trevor said it best in this video where he said that a helmet does not take away from your skating. You will not be a worse or more lame skater for wearing one. You'll just be a smarter one. If you don't wear a helmet, I dare you to just try it out for 1 month and see what happens, you know. And if you don't wear one, don't come up with any of these excuses anymore. I don't want to hear it. At least own the fact that it's because you don't think it's cool and you want to be seen as cooler, despite the fact you're most likely someone in their late 30s that is playing with a toy in a park with a bunch of kids, somehow thinking that putting on a helmet would make them less cool. And most importantly, you're too scared to wear a helmet. Just put it like that, okay? Not for real. Just own the fact that you don't think it's cool. Let me know your thoughts on helmet wearing in the comments down below, especially if you don't wear a helmet. If you're still listening to me at this point and you don't wear a helmet, even if I haven't changed your mind, you earn some props because you can have more confidence in being anti-helmet because you questioned your beliefs, which is you deserve something for that. So appreciate you hearing me out. I want to give a massive thank you to my patrons for making this video possible. Wouldn't be able to do this without them. Consider liking the video if it helped you out in any way. But most importantly, go for a skate today if you have the time. You won't regret it. Maybe put the helmet on though. Actually, put the helmet on though, you know. And yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later on. Peace.